Hey guys, what is up? Niad here with Film Comics Explained, and we are back for the final chapter of The Thing from Another World. I know some of you were upset that this story was so short. Don't worry, this is the first book of 3 and we will be continuing it. When we had left, Macready and Erskine had been picked up by the Argentinians and Childs. Once they were brought to the Argentinian camp, the colonel there had informed them that they were going to be subjected to a medical examination before being cleared to join the rest of the camp. Childs and Macready were found to be clean, but the wounded soldier they had carried with them turned out to be infected. We see the thing burst out of him in the grotesque fashion that we love from the movies. It grabs one of the Argentinians by the neck with its tentacles. We see it go for Macready, who blocks it with a metal tray. Childs then hurls an assault rifle at him. Macready lays waste to the thing, emptying his whole clip into the creature, which then bursts through the wall behind it in defense. Childs tells them that they hit it, and it seems to be heading away from the camp. Macready suggests that they follow it and kill it. Childs is pretty open to this, but also tells them that they are going to need more firepower. Macready then asks the colonel for their ice demolition charges. Daylight has begun to fade, and we see the tractor begin to blast its lights, illuminating the way ahead. As they venture forward, they notice a hand sticking out of the snow, and signal to hold up there. They all stand a few feet away from the decomposed body. One of the men asks if it had dragged this man out here to eat him. Macready informs him that it had actually brought him out here to duplicate, but it didn't have enough time to finish the job. He pours gasoline over it and tells him that this one is not going to be a problem anymore. He lights it up and explains that from his experience, he has noticed that these creatures have a serious aversion to fire. The driver informs them that the crevasse fields up ahead have fractured ice, preventing them from driving further. We see them walking for some time before Macready says that they need to get back to the tractor due to the cold, but the colonel insists that they need to find the creature before it freezes out here. We see them walking from the heavy layers of snow onto the thinner ice. The ground beneath Childs then begins to give way as he slides down a few feet below. Macready yells out to ask if he's okay, and Childs tells him that he's alright, before asking them to throw down a rope. He sparks a flare, while the men above him get ready to pull him up. We can see the eyes of the creature staring at him. Childs calls it a son of a bitch as it rises up to get him. He yells at them to pull him up while he burns the tentacles near him with the flare. He then removes an explosive charge from his pocket and throws it into the thing's mouth. The force of the explosion, coupled with the men pulling him up, cause him to shoot out of the hole. Macready helps him up and tells him that he'd look better, which is a slight nod to Child's earlier line to him in the previous chapter. The colonel interrupts their reunion and orders them all to get out of there. As they're driving back, Erskine asks how long until they make camp. The driver tells him that they're about 30 minutes away. Macready asks him what the hurry was, and Erskine tells him that he has lost a team in the field, got a helicopter shot down, and is now 23 hours overdue to call in. We see one of the men guiding him to the radio room once they arrive back at the camp. Childs tells Mac that the Navy SEAL seem to be checking his watch more than a referee in overtime. Macready suggests that he may have a hot date as they head inside. Childs then replies by saying, with who? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and begins to notice a look on Macready's face. He asks him what's up, and Macready tells him that the wounded co-pilot's blood had never got near the flame, and they saw him come apart anyway. Childs tries to ask him what his point was, and Macready informs him that when the thing turned, it had essentially interrupted their testing process, and they were never able to check Erskine. Now, he thinks it's crazy to suggest that Erskine is infected, as he was the one who was eager to kill it. Macready then tells him that that might have been what he wanted them to think. They head to the radio room, and we see Childs unlocking the door to find 3 dead bodies. The radio equipment has also been destroyed. They find a transcript of a message that had been sent to the Navy requesting an extraction. Macready recognizes the D4N designation, which indicates that he had contacted a warship. I think the writers have tried to imply that Macready had served time in the military. The colonel earlier even referred to him as a Lieutenant Macready. We continue to find that Childs tells him that no ship could get through that ice. Macready then realizes that a submarine could, and we see the two running outside. They head to the tractors and find that they have been sabotaged. They are lucky enough to find a snowmobile that Erskine forgot to destroy, and we can see them fervently following his tracks. After almost an hour of driving, Charles spots movement up ahead. Erskine begins to fire upon them, and we see Charles firing back as he yells out, "He sees us!" Charles is able to shoot him in the head. We see blood spray out the back, before it begins dripping through the helmet. The blood then seeps through the ice, and after a few seconds, there is a huge crack splitting the frozen ground into several chunks to reveal the emergence of the submarine. We can see Erskine's body being flung to the ground as Charles and McCready jump off their snowmobile. Erskine then begins to climb to the top of the submarine, where a few men have just come out of the hatch. McCready fires at Erskine, and we can see the soldiers yelling out, "What the hell?" just as Erskine's infected body makes it to the hatch. We then see a severed head falling in front of McCready as more tentacles attack the soldiers exiting the hatch. We head inside the submarine to see one of the men issuing an intruder alert. What we know for sure is that the thing is wreaking havoc. It is killing everyone that comes near it. I mean, to be fair, these guys were not prepared and stood no chance. We can see the ship is diving. The men responsible for operating the hatch have been killed, and we see the captain's men inform him that the helm is no longer answering and the secondary controls have been shot. We can see the sub going further and further down into the ocean. The captain yells for them to sound the collision alarm and brace for impact. McCready also tells Charles to hang on, as a submarine hits the ground floor with tremendous force. We can see the water begin to pour in as a sailor informs the captain that the reactor and engineering spaces have been totally flooded. The captain tells them to clear the space and move forward. One of them informs him that the creature that had killed so many of them had also gone to the forward compartment. They are in an awful situation here, as they can either stay there and drown or confront the creature head on. McCready and Charles then join the rest of the crew, as Mac explains that it is an alien life form that had destroyed 2 research bases with a proclivity to infect people like a virus. It mimics living forms and can change its shape at will. The captain tells him that he still doesn't believe it. McCready simply states that he had seen it with his own eyes. The captain then reluctantly asks if there is a way to kill it, and McCready informs them that fire will do the trick, while extreme cold will cause it to hibernate. The captain is quick to say that they can't burn it here, as they have less than 3 hours of air left, which will disappear quickly when a fire is involved. Charles questions them about weapons, and they tell him that the armory was also flooded. McCready asks the captain for a few men to attempt to head to the capsule, but the captain dismisses this. He agrees they need to move for the capsule, but thinks they should all do it together. He tells McCready to take the lead. As they walk through the sub, there are gruesome displays of infected bodies everywhere. They reach the door to the torpedo room. Charles asks if the thing can read, and Mac tells them that they're about to find out. They open the door and spot their ride in the distance. As they walk towards it, the ground beneath them breaks, and we can see them falling into the spikes and tentacles of the massive thing below. McCready reaches for the fire extinguisher and uses it to disorientate the thing. Mac tells Charles that he can't hold it off much longer and asks him to get in. Charles then says that he can't do that, and also says that he wants it to end here. McCready is shocked, and we see him turning around to ask what the hell he is talking about. Charles explains that it is trapped now. He tells him that if they blow the hatch, that thing will die there. He adamantly wants to stay put, as we see him yelling, "It's got to die now." This is a culmination of all their experiences. Whenever they kill it or think they have destroyed it, they realize that someone else is either infected or there is still a portion of the thing that is around. It's been this continuous loop that Charles wants to end once and for all. We see him pull the lever, which propels the escape capsule without them. This then causes the submarine to break apart in the water. There are a few bodies scattered among the rubble, sinking to the ocean floor, but we notice one of the bodies is slowly rising up to the surface. McCready pushes himself through to catch his breath. He swims to the ice and crawls up on it as he yells out, "Oh Jesus, I'm alive." The wind is causing the water dripping off him to freeze within seconds. He tells us that it's going to kill him and says that he can't let that happen. We can see that he is not on the mainland, but on a single block of ice, as he tells us he better get some sleep. And that is the end to the first book in the 3-book series, The Thing from Another World. I love the relationship between Childs and McCready being explored further here. At the start, there was this lack of trust that carried on from the first film, that had us wondering if Childs was infected the whole time. Now, this is resolved beautifully in the end, when Childs ultimately sacrifices himself and McCready to ensure the thing did not escape. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one too, so please let me know what you liked or disliked about it in the comments below. Alright, that's all that we have time for today. We will be back with the second book, Climate of Fear, next week. If you guys had fun, don't forget to hit like and to subscribe to stay up to date on all my content. I'm Nihat with Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.